The strongest thing a person can do is learn to forgive. Remember that as I'm talking throughout this speech. The theater project has come to an end. The building is for sale. The reason the project has ended is because there is no funding. There are no winners or losers in this battle. It was merely just a dream. I attached the memory of my grandma to the theater because she died 3 months into me volunteering there. And I remember the exact day she died. And the day after, it was time for us to go work at the theater, but it was just me. And I told the owners that I wanted to work, and they were asking me, "Are you sure? Your grandma just died." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." The next day, I was at the theater pulling weeds in the parking lot, and I looked down the street, and down the street is, of course, the funeral home. And, the thought that's going through my mind is, she's probably there. And there happened to be a veteran's funeral happening that day. So, I knew who the guy that was going to be helping out at that veteran's funeral, who is famously Dan Roach. And he happened to be my grandma's neighbor for 45 plus years. And they were great friends with my grandma and my grandpa. And I suddenly had the urge to find Dan to tell him that my grandma had died. And it was not only to let him know that a friend of his had died, but it was also a point for me to show my grandma that she meant a lot to more than just her grandkids. She meant a lot to a lot of different people. And it was kind of a point to prove to me and to prove to my grandma that she meant more. So I went on my journey to go find Dan. I went to the funeral home and asked if Dan was there, and they were like, "No, he's at the memorial hall." So I walked over to the memorial hall, and thankfully I found him pretty easy. And I went up to him and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Hi, do you know who I am?" And he said, "No, you're going to have to remind me." And so I said, "I'm Nancy Murphy's granddaughter." And he just had this big smile on his face, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, how are you?" And before he could ask, how's your grandma doing? I had to quickly say, "I just came over here to let you know that my grandma died yesterday." And his face went from pure happiness to tears. And this amazing man who had seen the worst of the worst, was crying for somebody that obviously meant a lot to him as a friend. I remember him hugging me like 3 times for 30 seconds, and I did not know this man personally. I did not, I didn't know him other than he was my grandma's neighbor for a very long time. And it felt like I was hugging a friend that knew and understood what I was possibly going through. And that memory has kind of latched on to the theater. My grandma saw the first episode of Saving Willows, and she loved it. She was very happy, and she was excited that I was doing something that I really loved, and something for this town that even she knew was not doing too well. And she was happy to see that something was being done. By the second episode, she had passed away. and I put a slideshow of her life at the end of the second episode. I spent a lot of devastating moments at that theater. I witnessed time and time again people saying, oh, I want to come and volunteer, or oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do that, and, you know, when you're up front in front of that person, you're going to say, great, well, we're happy to have you. Come on down. And unfortunately, they never came. And that was very frustrating, and it was a letdown, a huge letdown. But my heart was set on the theater. So it was my job to show the severity of the situation and show people that this building needs help, big time. Since the last time I was there, I haven't been told really much of anything. I was never sat down and talked about what was going to happen. I was told after the fact, or until I asked questions, and then I was told about it. No one actually sat me down and said, hey, we're going to do this. If that would have happened, I think I would have been more okay. But since nobody sat me down and said anything, you know, I was there 95% of the time. I should be able to know what's going on, especially if I have a docuseries on it. And I'm sorry, but to me, that's not right in any way, shape, or form. I think there's a lot more to the story than just what I was told, involving other locals, and I hate to say it, but this is the only thing that I'm going to say about it, is that it's amazing that me, a 28-year-old, has to take care of a bunch of old people and tell them to grow up. I have to be in the middle of a group of people who should be old enough to know how to handle things, and that didn't happen. That should not be my job. The importance was the theater, and a lot of people destroyed it. But what's done is done. There's nothing more I can do. There's nothing more anyone else can do. You've set it in stone. All of the drama that I have gone through has made me end the series, because no one should have to go through the hell that I have. The theater was the only place that allowed me to film. I remember in the beginning of starting my docuseries, I went to downtown Willows to, ask people if they wanted to be involved. And I got a lot of weird looks. One person was incredibly rude, and a lot of them just seemed like they didn't care. Like I wasn't talking about anything real. Like I wasn't making a difference. And the thing was that I was trying to make a difference by saying, hey, if you want me to, show you your business and show people how reliable you guys are, wouldn't you want that kind of showcasing? Instead, it was, no, get out of my sight. We don't need your help. That's not right either. Just imagine you're a 26-year-old woman at the time, and you want to do something creative, yet you are in a town that just doesn't care. Just wants nothing to do with you. I don't like talking negative about my town. I really do not try to dig too deep into it, but when it comes down to it, eventually it's going to come to the surface. It's going to come to the surface, and it's going to come at the most pivotal point. And, I hate to say it, but Willows may not be the place where I'm meant to be. And I'm learning that as time goes on. My brother just got accepted to Washington State. And my grandma was born in Aberdeen, Washington. And when my brother got accepted, we took that as kind of a beyond the grave pulling of strings. My grandma may be saying, go back to Washington. And I really like the concept of going to Seattle. Went to Washington once in my life for my great-grandpa's funeral. And I really, really liked it. So there's a very good chance that I may go that way. Because nothing seems to be happening here. And it's sad. It's sad that I have to say that. And it's sad that I have to be the one to say, you know what? This isn't working. I don't want anybody to point fingers at anybody about the reason why this has come to a massive failure end. I don't want to see or hear any of that. If you have something negative to say about this video or about anyone connected to this video, then go somewhere else. This is not the place for that. There's a famous quote in the wonderful world of film that goes, if you have nothing nice to say, say nothing at all. I highly recommend following that. There are reasons for everything, and if you don't understand that now, you will never understand that. You don't know what I have been through. You don't know what everyone else that has been involved has gone through. You don't know. I have spent way too much time and way too much effort trying to do the best I can with this series, and this is as far as I can go. If you choose to do something different, go right ahead. I don't care. Won't be my problem unless you ask for help, and I highly doubt that. Don't destroy what's here. Just don't do it. It's amazing that I has to jump in to get the answers I need to either finish with this series or keep going, and I never got that answer. There have been a lot of people that have really set fires in places that can't regrow. And you know what? That's their fault. I'm honestly very embarrassed and very disappointed in the people that said they were going to help us. And I don't mean just volunteers. I mean other people that I'm not going to mention. But a lot of people who supported us and things like that. Those people don't deserve attention. If you ever get the chance to read my book in the future, you will understand why I am the way I am and why I choose things that I choose. I have been through hell and back. This is not my first rodeo. And in a lot of ways, I'm proud of that. And then in a lot of ways, that's something that every person would look at naturally and say, no. But that's part of life. As my grandma would say, that's life. But that is life. And we learn from it. I am currently out here filming at my step-grandpa's farm. It's a pretty quiet place, and it's beautiful, and there's just the world and yourself. And I come out here a lot when things get really, really depressing in town. And there's just too many negative people, too many people who just want to destroy and watch everything catch fire and burn. If I do leave, I will miss this place because it's my home. It's the only place I know of. But something is out there for me. And I have to be the head driver to find that. So if that means leaving home and going with my brother to Washington, then so be it. Willows is probably the hardest place in the entire world to creatively get yourself going in the artistic world. Because nobody understands it. Nobody seems to care to or want to understand it. And I've spent almost my entire life studying art and trying to get into that mindset. And here I am trying to proceed with showing everyone what art is and getting nothing out of it from anybody. I asked my grandpa, the guy who this farm belongs to, I asked him before he died if he thought Willows was a dying town. And he said, oh yeah. Willows used to be a beautiful place. And out here I can still kind of see it. If you go to town, no. I get so jealous when I hear about people in other towns saying, oh, we got this and we're going to build it up and it's going to be open in a year and it goes through and everything's good. Because that never happens here. What happens is somebody will buy it, and they'll try to work on it, and they'll realize, oh crap, this building is going to cost a heck of a lot more than we thought. And they walk away giving up on it. I mean, I know that sometimes people don't see that coming when they come in to buy the building, but you have to understand that these buildings are incredibly old. They are falling apart as we speak. And you need to have a good wad of cash on you to take it on and expect a lot of bumps in the road because you're going to run into them. I spent a year and a half of my life working on the theater, and it's sad to say, but it was all for nothing. I have spent tons and tons of days just utterly depressed, wrapping myself up in fetal position and just, what do I do? Especially since no one told me anything. Me and another volunteer spent a couple of months just going by the theater, making sure that everything was still locked and everything was still there. And we were never told if anyone was going to come back or anything like that until I had to ask questions, and then I got my answers. But that should not happen that way. I should have been told up front what was going on. I can understand that there may be some fear in having to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. But what makes it worse is not saying anything at all. And I feel like I've lost a lot of friends when I wasn't even trying to lose friends. They kind of just left me. I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know, I hate those people. I don't want to talk to them ever again. I don't want to see them ever again. Like, no, that's not me. If you come to me and explain what was going on, apologize, be an adult about it, and, you know, just explain, I will listen. I am the kind of person that will sit there and think of what you were going through and think of all the things that were going on at the time and what the conclusion came out to be. I am not here to pick at you for reasons that I can't control. I just want to be told what's going on, and that didn't happen. I care. I overly care. And all this stuff should have proved that to you. But, you know, at this point, I'm over it. I have gone through so much stuff in the past several months that I just kind of want to wipe the slate clean and just go somewhere else and try somewhere else. I think that time has come. I've given all I can give. I will always be Willows proud because if it were possible, I would have been born here. I went to school here. I graduated from here. I did everything here. Unless you have the right last name or a high-standing soapbox to speak off of, you are not worth it. And they don't tell you that when you come here, but you will eventually get that feeling. And it's because that feeling is very real. It's unfortunate, but I'm also, you know, a very honest person. The time has come where the bull just needs to stop. It gets really tiring really fast. My grandma didn't like bull either. She was a no bull kind of person. She hated drama. She hated everything, yet she lived in Willows, drama central, for a long time, 50 plus years. I don't want to sugarcoat anything anymore because sugarcoating is just the sweet little taste on top of the nasty cough drop underneath. A lot of drama happened. A lot of drama. I did the best I could to stay out of it. For the most part, I did stay out of it. I was more of the mediator, unfortunately. No 28-year-old should be put in that position in the middle of grown adults. I'm the one who gets punished and has to stay here and deal with the leftover. Nah. No, thank you. I deserve a lot better, and I don't tell myself that very often. I always have to say, oh, this person deserves more because of this. I never say I deserve better. But at this point, that's the only thing that I can say to protect myself. In a very cruel world, I do deserve better. If anybody has any suggestions as to making videos, more of a continuous thing, let me know what your thoughts are. Could be anything. If you want me to, if you just want to hear me talk, I can do that. If you want me to try and do something else, it's up to you. If anyone has any actual good ideas or anything to do creatively, send me a message. I'm always looking at my messages and making sure that I haven't missed anyone that wants to talk or whatever. I've always been the number one person to go to when people need to talk. I didn't feel it was right to just say nothing to the people who have been following this series and have really, really appreciated and adored it. And to you, I say thank you.